Well, a hearty shalom to you, Jeffrey Seif here. I'm glad you're there, coming to you with another edition of Deciphering Our World. In my most recent edition, I got in a little bit of trouble, a little, behind the scenes. Jeff, you're talking about politics, Trump, the problem with talking about politics. Well, the problem of not talking about politics is that you're not addressing issues in the real world. So, what's the point in talking about deciphering our world if you can't talk about the key players and events in it? So, if you do give voice to your own perspective of what's happening in the world, then you run the risk of alienating those that don't quite see things the way that you do. If you don't engage what's happening in the world, which includes what's happening politically, then you run the risk of just not being relevant. And then the question is, do I want to play it safe, or do I want to decipher the world? Do I want to speak to, for, and about current events? Well, I opt for that. I'm certainly minded to do that. Of course, then you do run the risk, as I'd said, people feel a little alienated. I just want you to know that there's no claim that I'm right in anything that I'm saying. I'm not representing any organization. I'm representing my own perspective. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's me. And if there's a conversation, and I think that political discourse should be civil, I think religious discourse should be civil. I think theology, people vary, should be civil. There's an old saying, the only good theology is the theology of pilgrims, because we're all talking about a person we've never seen in a place we've never been. So we ought to walk humbly. That's true in all things, including my own attempt to decipher the world. But I'll tell you, just to jump right in there, I like to deal with the issues that come to me, one of which was, well, Jeffrey, what do you think? How do you weigh in on the issue of Donald Trump, his interest in what he is minded to do with Gaza, to kind of rebuild it, make it an American outpost in some sense, as well as all else? Well, that's political. On one hand, it's beyond my pay grade. What I would want to do in answering the question is consider what the major players, have to say there. And certainly, it seems to me that Netanyahu's open to the prospect. And I think that Donald Trump made the case forcefully. Nothing else has worked. He didn't just make that case forcefully, quite frankly. Alan Dershowitz, who's another one. He's a commentator. You might have heard the name. He has the Dersh Show or something to that effect. He kind of gets out there like Bill O'Reilly gets out there and gets his spin. Alan Dershowitz does every day. And he came out right on the heels of, Trump's announcement for Gaza and kind of where he is on that and other things related to his visit to Bibi Netanyahu. And Alan Dershowitz, a respected Harvard professor, long-term Democrat, but he's conversational. He doesn't live in an intellectual ghetto. He deals with the issues as he sees them and doesn't discriminate against variance and perspective. And I like that about him. He was like, I remember he says, his perspective was he needed to process it a little more, but he's not game to be a naysayer. Nothing else has worked. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, there's an old saying, give the devil his due. Not that I think he's the devil, but the point is he really is a creative thinker. He's robust. And there are a number of things that I like about him, least of which is his personality. Maybe because he's like me to a certain extent. He is really, bovine. He kind of plods along and he jumps in there. He's very robust. He's kind of like a bull in a china shop. But I guess if you're doing business at his level, it takes that dint of determination. I don't know. I've never run a big corporation, small corporation. Well, I have a small corporation or in police academies. But in terms of what it takes to get things done in the world, amidst the bureaucracies and everything, I don't know what that is. Maybe it does take a little more spring in your step that he's got, and it's a way to get things done. But if I take that out of the equation, sometimes what he says, the way he says it, I find rather interesting. But just in principle, I really get behind Alan Dershowitz on the whole Donald Trump story. He's like, let's be open because nothing else has worked. And sometimes new ideas change the world. In fact, a lot of times that's how we continue to grow. It's important to be creative, and it's important to be adaptive to new circumstances. There's for all of us. If you want to know where Jeffrey Seif stands on where we are a few weeks into Trump's presidency, I think that rather than live in a polarized past, where you're on this side or that side, I mean, it is what it is, and I want to be supportive and let's seeing if we can build a better mousetrap, if we can find our way to a brave new world, because certainly there are a lot of displaced Palestinians. Unfortunately, they were there in Gaza. They came under the grip of Hamas. Maybe they shouldn't voted them in initially, but they did. They didn't have a chance then to recalibrate and vote another way. There's a sense sometimes, it's whoever's driving the car takes you. Not everybody in the car wants to go that fast or wants to go that way. But innocent people in Gaza went on the journey because of Hamas, and it blew up, obviously. And I think that those that are refugees in that war-torn part of the world, they need something different than what they left. Find a new way into the future. In Israel, we got to find a new way into the future. And God knows, I think with the Abrahamic Accords, there's some hope in building bridges in the area. So for me, if you want to know where I am relative to Donald Trump, his vision for the Middle East, where I stand with that, what I take heart in personally, or what I realize personally is in so many ways, this stuff's beyond my pay grade. And I don't claim any eschatological scenario, open Bible, the end of the world. And, maybe I should be more attuned to that, but I'm not. For me, what I take heart in personally, there's a new day, there's new opportunity. And I'm glad personally that Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are in conversation. We want to pray for our leaders in America and in Israel. Even if you're not keen on Netanyahu, if you're not in love with Donald Trump, we want to pray and get behind them because they put things in motion, and we want to pray for wisdom for them as we kind of find our way into the future. Finding the way into the future isn't always easy. If success in life was easy, everybody would have it. Now, the truth of the matter, the Middle East has been a quagmire for the longest, and so these old ideas have played out and, didn't work. And so personally, Jeffrey, where are you with Donald Trump and Gaza and all the rest? Well, I'm with Alan Dershowitz. I'm with Bibi Netanyahu. Hey, let's keep the conversation going. Let's give it a chance. I hope you'll be open-minded to the future. And I hope, by the way, as I close, even if you don't agree with me on politics, I want you to know it's not important that you do. It's not important that you do. But let's just be friends at the end of the day. One of the things that I'm looking for that I don't find in media in so many ways, in so many days, is civil discourse. People that weigh in on the issues, they do it a little different, but there's a way we take it in stride and we're friends. I hope that you can be that with me. And with all that said, thank you for tuning in for another edition of Deciphering Our World. God bless.